Welcome to the Air Combat Simulation Podcast, brought to you by BVR Productions. Together with content creators, mission builders, experts, and enthusiasts, we explore the comprehensive world of combat aircraft simulation.
Alright, welcome everybody back to another Air Combat Sim. Today we're doing a community takeover here with our special guests of Nomad and Bowser. If you guys want to say hello to the community.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, we got Rob Grady here as well. He's the GOAT. He's joining us as well.
Hola.
Hola, senor. So this is my first community takeover here. Honored to be here and have Nomad and Bowser as our guests today. And I guess we'll start off with Nomad if you want to give us your backstory. Part of the community.
Hey, so I'm Nomad. I literally just found this podcast probably a couple of weeks ago and joined the Discord days ago. But I tell you, when I found it, I ran through it and I listened to every episode. I love it. Excited to be a part of this one.
Cool. So what's your backstory with DCS?
So typically I've been into the civilian flight simulators for a long time. Just recently discovered DCS and the ability to get into the weapon systems and then be with some of the or play with some of the airplanes and helicopters that I've loved for years. It's fantastic.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate you joining us today. We also have Bowser here if you want to give us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Bowser. Been playing DCS since before it was DCS. Started with Flaming Cliffs 2 and the standalone A10. Been listening to the podcast since the beginning. So, normally fly the Hornet, but since the Apache come out, I've kind of spent all my time on it.
Yeah, I think I can say the same as well. How long have you, so you said you've been in it since Lock-On? Is that the first one?
Yeah, the second one, I guess it would be.
Okay, I forgot which the first one was.
There was Lomac, and then
Lomac, that's what it was.
Flaming Cliffs 2, that's where I started.
Okay, that's right. I remember that one a long way ago, but I didn't really understand anything, and I just kind of like blew up all the time. I don't remember what I was doing in it, but yeah, honored to have you guys here, and we also have Rob here. And Rob, you never told me how long you've been into DCS.
It's actually probably about 3 years.
Okay.
And as I was complaining about earlier, and not in a bad way, but I've got we were talking about kids take up quite a bit of time, so my DCS time is not as much as I would like, but when I get the chance, I certainly enjoy it. And I probably play more F-18 than I have some of the other ones, but I've also been speeding up more on the F-16 recently, and then I've stumbled around in the Apache. Stumbled is probably the best. Is probably the best word for what I would call what I've done in it. But yeah, no. Overall, probably about 3 years. 3 years in.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't know that. Surprised we never talked about that.
Yeah.
But honored to have Nomad Bowser here. So Nomad, do you have anything? Like, do you have what's your favorite module so far? I know you said you're pretty much new to the community, so how new are you as well?
Well, within the year, for sure. I built a computer over COVID, and that's about when I discovered DCS. But man, I love that Apache. Apache and I go way back, real world, not as a pilot, but as a maintainer. And it's as soon as I heard that thing coming out, I said, I got to buy that.
Okay, so were you in the Army?
Yes.
Cool. So you were just like a crew chief, I guess, or?
I was it's called an airframe. I like to compare it to body mechanic. I was a body mechanic, pretty much for those.
So you would just like ding out the dings and stuff, or
yeah,
fix dents?
Sheet metal patches, fiberglass repair, things like that.
Cool.
Blade repair sometimes.
Cool. Well, thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then Bowser, you said you were into the Apache. Do you have any other favorite modules as well?
Well, my favorite's the Hornet. Always will be. I fly the Tomcat as well. part of a online squadron. But I don't know. I started with the Apache Air Assault on Xbox. So as soon as I heard the Apache was announced, I was like, "That's a day one for me." So
Yeah. I think that was like for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
When the Apache came out, I was like, I gotta have it right now. But no, that's cool. Were you in the Navy since you like Navy planes, or?
No, I never did. I should have. When I was young, I had no direction. Let's put it that way.
No, it's all good. I mean, it'd be kind of cool though, because I mean, it seems like most of the people I know fly the Hornet or the Tomcat. It seems, but most of the people I know right now are flying the Apache, and that's pretty much what this community takeover is going to be about. Is talking about the newly released Apache that was, I think it's 2 weeks now.
I was going to say, I think it has been about 2 weeks, and I think we had an update last week.
Yeah, that's right. So we had an update last, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, and it was supposed to fix some of the desync issues that were going on with the Apache and multi-crew. I've flown just a little bit of the last patch that came out, and there was just a few issues still left over that need to be ironed out as well. But overall, I think it's been, in my opinion, the greatest probably module release that has happened so far in DCS. I'm not sure what you guys think, but
Oh, I agree. I love this thing. I could spend hours. If I had the hours, I could spend on it.
Well, I'm not good enough at it yet to know if there's problems.
Well, I would say, it's interesting you say that. I think from my perspective, it seems, and maybe, and I didn't know if it's because it's a helicopter or if it's just so different than some of the other, than the pointy nose, that it just seems like it's going to be such a larger challenge to get into and invest the time to get proficient at it.
yeah, I mean, I was going to make a YouTube video about this, but I guess we can talk about it here. Is like, how do you find the best way to approach like a new module? Like, what would you like, Nomad as a new person to DCS? Like, how are you approaching new modules? Are you like more of a hands-on person or like watching to learn?
Kind of both. I go straight to YouTube, see what I can find on there for help. See if I can find Chuck's guides and just work it out. See what I can figure out. Now, I will say helicopters are a totally different beast, so get ready to retrain your brain.
Yeah. How about you, Bowser?
I'm more hands-on. Up until release day, I will get into the YouTube and the manual if they release it, things like that. But as soon as it's out, I just jump in, start mapping things, and kind of, in bite-sized pieces. I'll learn to take off and land, and then I'll jump into the weapons, things like that.
Yeah, it's cool to see how, everybody gets into it. How about you, Rob? How'd you come about the Apache?
Well, normally I probably have more modules than I've invested time in, but you saw it and it's like, oh yeah, I want it, and so I've downloaded it, I've loaded it, I've mapped some of the joystick and everything else, and then I've started playing with it, and it's great. But most of the time, I think it's a combination for me of trying to get up to speed. So I'll watch videos on YouTube to try to understand some of the basics and get the mappings down. And then part of it's going to be obviously hands-on and trying to do it. But yeah, no, I definitely think that it's a combination of trying to find the right videos. And even, like, for example, Trick of Yours are great to get into, to sit there and watch even some of the nuanced changes. So when I start going through the F-16, I try to find a series of videos that I'm going to listen to. And then, as a curriculum.
Yeah, I still need to do an updated F-16 Viper changes thing, but I've been so involved with the the Apache that I just haven't.
Yeah, I was going to say something.
Haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, lazy. But
no, but I feel like I'm more of a hands-on person. Like, I wasn't here for the launch day. I always feel like ED launches games when I'm flying, so it's like a curse. Like, I always start like a 4-day trip when like ED's like, hey, we're releasing this module today, and you're like, come on, Matt, and you're like, come on, Wags, give me a day to stream it, But I was
at airline pilot.
Yeah. So I didn't really watch many videos, before the Apache came out, but I did get to see a little bit of, some of the streams, but I'm more of a hands-on person, so I'd rather just, get in there and basically do it myself, figure it out myself. I've always been like that. I'd just rather be like a hands-on person and just get it done and figure it out myself. And then I'll go to the, the training resources and stuff to kind of engrave it in my brain.
Chuck's guides are absolutely fantastic, but it's sort of I use it as more of an ad hoc of what is this, and then I try to find it in there. And again, that's just me. But boy, he cranked out I think the first piece really quickly for the Apache.
Yeah, kind of like a reference. That's the way I use Chuck's guides. Just kind of look at things I need to find. I can't just go through and read the whole thing. My attention span isn't that focused.
Did he come out with an Apache guide?
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
He did?
Maybe it's just I'm on his Patreon list, so maybe.
Oh, okay. Maybe it came out early to Patreons then.
Yeah.
Your news exclusive. If you sub to, or how would you say that? If you give money, if you contribute,
a patron.
If you're a patron, there we go. Thank you. Sorry, I'm not very good at the Patreon thing. So shout out to Chuck's Guide. Go over there and give him some support, and you get some early access.
Oh yeah.
Breaking news.
It's there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. So
I'm gonna have to work my way over there.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. No, it's really good. And again, as all of his guides are, it's fantastic. So, yeah, if I didn't know if it was still for the Patreon members, but it sounds like it is still. So, yeah, go over there, check it out. The stuff is great.
No, Rob bringing in the good news.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I didn't know that. But no, I feel like the same way that I always use Chuck's guides to help me refresh my memory, especially if I'm making a tutorial. Like I pretty much know what I'm doing, but then I use his guide as like a backup. Like, hey, how does Chuck do it, kind of thing. And then I kind of like put my own touch or flair on it.
Yeah, but realistically, you had Casmo. So how is that not like the best training?
I did. He was in the back seat and he was whispering me sweet nothing. So, I wasn't really paying attention to what he was telling me. I was just paying attention to like, his breath on my neck.
You heard it here first, folks.
Oh, man.
No. But no, I've flown with Casmo quite a few times now, and he's always been in the back seat being the pilot, and I was always a CPG. And so far, I don't know about all you, but I find the CPG the most fun out of the Apache. I mean, that's just me, but
Yeah, I haven't done any multiplayer in the pilot seat yet. I need to give that a try, but I've tried that CPG seat, and man, that's fun.
Yeah, I haven't been on multi-crew yet either. I prefer flying it, but I don't know. The George AI, it works really well. It's a little different. It's a little bit to get used to.
it did take me a little bit to get used to. I spent like the first hour of my stream when I first got into the Apache, where I was just, taking off, landing, flying around, just getting used to it. And it's actually, I think it's pretty, I'm not going to say simple to fly, because it's actually complex, but compared to like the Apache, or not the Apache, but the Huey, I thought it kind of flew a little similar. Not like saying it's spot on, but I mean, like, the Huey's my favorite to fly in DCS, so having the experience with the Huey, I kind of felt like I could do pretty well with the Apache, and so far I felt like I've done pretty good with the Apache.
It's touchy.
Only a couple crashes.
I think the George from the CPG seat is pretty intuitive. It flies well enough. It takes you around like a taxi service, but
I haven't used the George AI. Actually, I take that back. I used it once, and that was for the CPG tutorial that I did. I actually had to look up the commands, like, how do I make him do this? Because I had no idea what I was doing. So to have like a super stable hover to do part of my video, I needed him just to keep it there for me so I can, do my video. Because usually if I have a pilot in the back, you're going all over the place. Like, it's like, keep it steady, man, keep it steady.
Yeah, George as the gunner is pretty simple and really works well. George as the pilot, I get confused. I always put him in the wrong mode. It's not as intuitive as I'd like. I think that's my shortcoming though, and not George's.
Is that his name, though? Is like the whole thing is George, even if he's
Yes.
up front or in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know what to call the guy in the back.
And
I
of
was
course,
calling him. I was calling him Frank.
hey, he could be your Frank. I have had some issues with that though, where he doesn't climb like you'd want him to, or he'll get into settling with power and you slam into the ground pretty hard. But
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I didn't know because I've watched some of the videos and I'm like, well, he just automatically like increased 10 feet. And then I guess not.
it's not great when you're going waypoint to waypoint, especially if you're in the max speed mode. I've noticed where he'll get himself into a 2,500 foot per minute drop pretty quick.
So you can tell him like to follow all the waypoints?
Yes. Yeah.
Or
if you set
follow
up
a route?
Yeah, if you set up a route, you can have him, I think it's combat mode. You can have him follow the waypoints.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I haven't really, like I said, I haven't done much single player, so I've just been doing multiplayer stuff. So you guys are the opposite of me, so now I'm learning.
Yeah, I try to learn in single player before I break into the multiplayer and make a fool out of myself.
I've been flying a lot from the front seat. I'll fly to where I'm going and then let George take over and hover, or whatever he's going to do. And then I'll grab my Xbox controller and start shooting things, and then I'll take back over.
Yeah, that was my next question is, like, I haven't done that yet, and I've seen a lot of people using the Xbox controller. How do you feel the Xbox controller does as a CPG?
It's necessary, I think. I tried binding my flight controls when I first got it as the CPG, and it just didn't work for me. And I also want to be able to fly from the front seat, but I bound an Xbox One controller through Bluetooth, and it's amazing. It has, until the radar comes out, I feel like it has enough buttons on it to do pretty much everything you need to do.
How easy was it to bind?
As long as I remember to turn it on first before I start DCS, it's pretty easy.
Okay, so that's the shortcoming, is you have to have it on before you start DCS?
Yeah, if you connect through Bluetooth. I think you can hardwire it, and it'll be fine, but...
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you just had it USB connected, then it would always show up.
That's how I do. Yeah, I have a spare PlayStation controller, PS4 DualShock controller, and I just have it plugged into a powered USB port or a powered USB hub, and honestly, it was plug and play. I didn't have to do any setup or anything. I had to bind the controls, of course, but...
Well, that's interesting, because I heard somebody mention that you actually, for the PlayStation, that you might need some software, some additional software.
I didn't need anything. It was plug and play.
Cool.
Interesting.
Do your triggers work as buttons or as axes?
Yes, they work as buttons.
See, that's a shortcoming of the Xbox controller. The triggers are axes, and you can't really use them to fire the weapon or whatever.
Interesting. So how do you use the joysticks, I guess you'd say, the thumb joysticks? Do you use that for the CP or the TDAC?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Does it vibrate for you?
I haven't gotten it to, but I'm sure we can try.
Yeah.
Just don't put it in your lap.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I never thought of that. I'm using a...
What are you doing up there? Mind your own business.
Rifle.
There's a smile on his face.
Oh, I got the jet seat. I don't have to worry about that.
Oh,
I got
you
a
got
cell phone mount holding my Xbox controller, so I guess I wouldn't know if it was vibrating.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool if it had like a little bit of a force feedback.
Yeah.
I guess that brings us to the next topic of the trim. How'd you guys find the trim? I know that was a huge discussion.
Oh man, it's been a fight.
I didn't have a lot of trouble with it, but I immediately went to the settings and selected central position trimmer mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have an X56. I know it's the sinful thing to say, because it's got all the slop in the center. Nobody really recommends it, but it took a little bit of playing with it on my part. And when I finally got smart and took the centering spring out of my rudder pedals, boy, that made all the difference too.
Yeah, I got the MFG crosswinds, and I honestly didn't have too much of an issue. I honestly thought maybe people were overthinking it at first, but it seemed like it was a huge topic of discussion, the trim.
once I got used to it, it made more sense to me. But at first, I was flopping all over the place like a fish with the darn thing.
How about you, Rob?
I would say that I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Oh,
I'm
still on the ground taxiing.
Central flight.
I'm the guy that rolled over and all this. No, I honestly, it's I haven't had the chance to get into it that far, but I've watched the videos and I've seen Casmo and Red Kite, and to your point, I'm kind of going, what? I'm not really sure how I need to do it. I'm actually, after watching 3 or 4, I'm like, I just need to jump into it and figure out what's going on. But
right,
yeah, and if you guys are okay with it, I completely recommend those 2 videos that you just mentioned right there. Those made all the world of difference to me.
I don't recommend any videos of Casmo or Red Kite. No, I'm just joking, man.
Only Tricker videos.
They're only panel members as well.
I think Casmo's listening.
I can only say that because they're not here. No, I watched all of Casmo's and Red. I always watch Red Kite's videos.
Yeah, his stuff is so good.
Yeah, he did the ASMR one for April Fools. I didn't even know it was an April Fool's joke. I just went with it, and I was like, "Hey, man, this is cool."
I was thinking he's going for a new audience.
Yeah, I thought so too, man. I commented on it. I put something in the regards of like, "Hey, I don't know why you're giving this out for free. It should be on your OnlyFans page."
That's
Hopefully he thought that was funny.
You know, I mean, OnlyFans go in a different direction too. You get all the sponsored ads, and they say, "Oh, a cooking show, cooking this."
Yeah.
Where ASMR cooking? Sure, let's go with that.
I enjoyed it. I was like, man, he's got a lot of systems or HOTAS systems.
Yeah.
Or,
he's got them all.
Yeah, he had a bunch of them.
He sent. Well, don't they send all the manufacturers send it to him for free?
Oh, okay.
Or that's what he wants for Christmas. I don't know. He just gets them all.
His charming voice gets all the free stuff.
I think so. I think that's it.
But yeah, looking forward to just going back to the Chuck's guide. Looking forward to Chuck's guide on the Apache because I read a little bit of the Quick Start guide, which is another thing I guess we could talk about. Is like when the Quick Start guide came out, I was like, holy crap, sorry. Like 362 pages. Like usually, like when the F-16 came out, there was like 20 pages, and I was like, what the heck? If I remember correctly, but
yeah, it's I got it up right here, 361 pages. That is a thorough manual.
I was one off.
That's not much of a quick start guide. That's a long start guide.
That's the documentation.
Yeah, I was impressed. Like when I saw that came out, I was kind of like, all right, like I got a little more hyped than I usually do. Like usually when modules come out, I'm not super hyped as I used to always be. I guess just because I'm used to being let down a little bit. I guess I don't want to sound negative, but I mean, you're like, oh, I'm super hyped for it, and then it's like, oh, we need to delay a couple more months, and you're like, ah.
Well, with this one, you can see just by looking at this guide alone, you can see the love they put into this thing.
And yeah, that's what I was getting at. Is when I saw the guide, I was like, all right, like you can tell that this is going to be a very good module, and I was impressed when it came out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
First thing I did was listen to the sounds for 10 minutes. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
No. I was going to say that I think what's interesting is that this module is so. I don't think I've seen a module come along that has changed the tone of the community where I've seen such people be so excited about it and then spending the time. So if you came out with another aircraft, it's not that it's not going to get the buzz, but this one seems, it's just been huge.
I agree, and my biggest concern with the Apache when it first came out, and I always said this like on my streams, is that the ground units were going to be my biggest concern because usually if you're in the A-10, like you always get shot in the face, or like you'll be going 600 knots down low in an F-16, and some dude's like a mile away and he snipes you, and you're like, come on, man. Like, so that was my biggest concern about the Apache with the ground units were, but so far, I mean, I've been having an absolute blast with the ground units and the Apache. I still think there could be some improvements, obviously, but I've been, having a great time with the Apache. It's a completely different aspect of DCS.
Mm-hmm.
than I'm used to.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
And
agree.
how's the and again, one of the big topics was about the FLIR system. How do you guys
Yeah,
think that how do you think that's has been transformed? What do you think?
So I have no frame of reference in the older FLIR system, being such a beginner to DCS, but I have no problems with this one. It's fantastic. You can see everything you need to see. I don't know what the older issues were, but Trigger, were those fixed that you've seen, or?
No. So like the FLIR was in the Apache is freaking amazing.
Yes.
Like it's awesome. And it was supposed to be incorporated into all the other aircraft inside of DCS.
Right.
But at the present time, the F-16 and the A-10 are a little bit lackluster, as in I feel like they've gotten a little worse than what it used to be. Like I was flying the A-10 the other day, and it was so hard to pick out any units. Even after like adjusting the brightness, contrast, the gain, I was really trying super hard to find units, and like I was trying to find like an infantryman, and I could not find him. Like he was blending in with the terrain, so it was a little frustrating. But supposedly that's being worked on, and I guess some of the code got put into the other modules, but not to take away from the Apache. The FLIR looks amazing, and I can't wait for the FLIR to actually make it to the other modules, is what I was getting at.
I wonder if maybe that's because the Apache's FLIR is at such a high level that maybe going back to the other ones is kind of lackluster, pulls out their bad sides.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I've seen... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I think it just got put into the F-14 in its latest release. So, or at least when I read the release notes, I think that's what it said. But
Okay, yeah. I haven't flown the F-14 since the Apache came out.
yeah, so yeah, I don't know, but at the end of the day, I can certainly see where they're trying to modularize, the software components, and so even if it's not there immediately, it'll get there.
Yeah. I remember like 2 years ago, they came out with a patch for the A-10 for the TGP, and it was awful. Like it was, I can't even really describe what the picture is, but I mean like there was like squares on the TGP or like on the MFD screen, and it was like really bright white and then like really dark black. It was extremely difficult to see anything, and I was like, man, this is terrible. And that was like 2 years ago, and it took a little bit of time for them to fix that, but I'm sure they're going to fix, the issue that we're having now, but it's not really a big issue in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think there are always going to be issues, but it's always, I think that's the tough thing about software, is that when you make a change in one spot and then it impacts something somewhere else, and doing regression testing, all the pieces that go into doing a release, sometimes things get through. But I all things being considered, though, I would say that this release was pretty doggone successful for Eagle Dynamics.
I would bet so.
Well,
happy with the
in
module.
reference to some of the other ones, I think we'll have it in December, and then we end up in March. But I'd rather take the time, because you don't want to have it. It's not a very forgiving community.
No, and I think everybody's under the same understanding. Like, take your time with it. Quit putting out release dates. Quit setting standards, or not set standards, but quit putting out expectations, and just put it out when it's ready. Like, stop forcing in expectations, I guess you'd say. Because then it sets you up for delays, and then people get upset about the delays. But this was a great release, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I guess that was my point originally, is that when you take a look at this release, I feel like this module is such a huge chunk, and I think it opens up so much more experiences folks can have in multiplayer, a whole new aircraft to learn, and in the air to ground. I guess what I'm trying to shooting people on the ground is going to be fantastic.
Shooting virtual people on the ground.
See, there
Thank
go.
you.
It's just lines of code.
Yeah.
exactly.
We don't want to get it too involved.
Yeah.
Have you tried shooting virtual cows yet?
No.
It doesn't work, does it?
It usually does, but I haven't tried it yet. Usually 104's Bullet, he makes these missions with a bunch of cows in it. It's usually a lot of fun.
I did take it out on the 476th range in Nevada, and that was a lot of fun.
Now it's crazy you say that because like I'm usually the only one that flies on Nevada that I know about, so
Oh yeah,
it's good to hear somebody else flies on
I like
Nevada.
it. I like the realism factor that it gives, even if it's not true combat.
Yeah, that's what I think about it too. And that 476 training grounds is actually a really good mission.
Oh, it's fantastic.
If anybody hasn't checked it out, make sure you check out the 476 range. It goes in your mods folder, and it's got a bunch of different like targets and ranges that you can go to practice your gunnery and weapons. It's a good little mission.
And the amount of work that they put into that, it's just as much love as you can see as these guys put into the Apache. That's a lot of work they put into that.
Yeah. So it's good to hear that somebody else loves the Nevada map, because I felt like I was the only one. I put out a video on like terrains in DCS like a month ago, and my number one comment was like, why do you like Nevada so much? There's never seen real combat. And it's like, bro, like it's a cool map, man. Like,
Yeah.
You go there, you can high roll, you can race down the strip like you're in Formula One. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but
No.
Formula One's gonna be doing a racetrack in Las Vegas, racing down
man.
the strip.
Texas is going to lose our we're going to lose our status as the only one in the United States, huh?
Well, I think they're still going to do it there. I think this is like, I don't know. It just got announced that it's going to be coming in 2023, that Formula One's going to be racing down the strip. I'm sure the tickets are going to be like $3,000 to $5,000.
Sure.
Yeah. No, it's not. I'm trying to figure out when to take what to do with the boys. Take my kids to Circuit of the Americas this year. I think it's about ready, but yeah.
Leave them at Sports House.
I think that's a great idea.
See? You know, sport might be there. Because Sun and Fun is next weekend, and I invited him to come out. That's here in
Oh yeah,
Lake
that's right.
Lane, Florida. So we got the Sun and Fun. So Thunderbirds are coming next
that's
weekend.
Oh man.
It's air show season.
Oh,
It
gotta
is,
love
man.
it.
It's good to be, spring already, but we've been having some crazy rain the last few days. Like I said, I think the power went out at my place the other day, or yesterday actually. So had to reset a bunch of stuff when I got home today. But
We're hitting thunderstorm season here in Texas too, and you get those notifications every day that it's about to be rainy and stormy.
Yeah.
Shut the computer down so it doesn't get fried.
yeah, weather in Texas is no joke. Like when flying in Texas, like you guys get some crazy like squall lines.
Yeah.
And it takes like hundreds of miles to go around. But like every squall line has like tornadoes in it
Sure.
or hail.
It's just that it's the mix of the dry line with with that Gulf moisture, man.
Yeah. Now we need that in DCS. Perfect segue to go into DCS weather.
Real time weather.
There you go.
Yeah. Dude, we need real-time weather.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But we need, I don't know.
They
I
used
feel like
to have,
I don't
they used to
know.
have that. They used to have that in,
They did?
well, not in DCS, or I don't know.
Oh, I don't
Not that
think
I'm
they
aware
ever
of.
had that.
They did in
Did I hear?
Microsoft Flight Simulator, right?
Yes.
hmm
Did I hear that they're trying to implement the towering cumulus now, or
In DCS?
in DCS?
I'm not sure.
I thought I
I mean-
heard that in one of y'all's episodes. Talking
Must
with,
have been.
with Wags.
Must have been the one with Wags.
Yes.
Okay. Must have been. I think I missed that one then.
I think I caught that they were working on that. That's gonna be cool.
Because I know that the weather system was supposed to be coming,
Sure.
where it's dynamic, and I've been wanting that for a long time. I feel like the wind is not really represented correctly in DCS. So hopefully the wind system kind of gets fixed, in my opinion. But yeah, towering cumulus, get some thunderstorms, some thunder bumpers coming in while you're trying to put bombs on foreheads.
Get a little realism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the episodes that we have on deck is about real pilots in DCS. So I think that'll be interesting. Just as you mentioned about the wind and other things that could, what could be making it more realistic.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I guess that's our next episode.
Yeah.
So what else do you? So about the Apache, like what else are you looking forward? Like Bowser, like what do you see yourself doing next in the Apache as you're learning it? What's your next step?
I don't know. It's so complex. It's like the A-10. There's just so much you can deep dive into that aircraft, like really far before you reach the bottom. And I have no idea. So far, I've been able to use all the weapons and things like that, put in waypoints, the basics. But I'm just looking forward to getting in there and finding out how to really make it accurate and learning all those systems.
Have you done night missions yet?
A couple, just like approaches, takeoffs, things like that. That system is really cool. It's kind of hard to train your brain to, use one eye for that and the other eye for everything else, but it really makes you respect.
So you must be in VR then.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So how are you enjoying the Apache in VR then, besides the eye heads?
Oh, it's amazing. Everything looks fantastic. It really. VR is a game changer for all the aircraft, but every new aircraft release, it just keeps getting better.
So, Tricky, you're not in VR, or
No.
are you in VR at all?
I have VR, but I choose Track IR just for like content creation.
Yeah, if you weren't making videos, would you be wearing it?
That's a tough question. I don't know. I have the Reverb 1. I don't have the latest Reverb 2. So I had like the Oculus Rift, and then the reason I got the Oculus Rift is everyone was like, "Oh, it's so clear. There's no screen door effect. It's so clear." And then I put it on, and suffice to say, I was like just disappointed. I was like, I was like, man, like I can't read anything, and then like I was going to people's streams, and I'm like, can you read these gauges? Like it's so blurry. It's so much screen door effect. Like is my unit like defective? I didn't know, and because I never tried VR before, and like other VR games are amazing, like just being in like a real 3D world. Like I was playing like Robo Recall, and these robots were jumping on me and scaring the crap out of me. So that was kind of cool. But like in DCS, like I was just kind of disappointed with the Rift, and then the Reverb came out, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so clear, you can see everything," and I'm like, "All right, I'll get the Rift, or not the Rift, but the Reverb." And like it was a little bit better, but there was still like screen door effects, and like I couldn't see stuff on the sides, and I don't know, it just took me a long time to get used to it, and I really enjoyed it. I think like you feel immersed because like I kept grabbing the mouse, or not the mouse, I kept reaching for things because I thought I was in the cockpit,
Yeah.
So I kept grabbing like, hey, I'm gonna hit this switch, and I'm like, crap, Tricker, you dummy, like you're in a VR headset, grab the mouse. But I was still kind of disappointed with the biggest thing with me was like doing BFM because there was a lot of ghosting. So like I'd be merged with somebody, and like they would be ghosting across the screen, and you're like, I don't know which like image is the correct image, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think VR is awesome, but so far I just haven't been sold on it yet.
I had that problem at first. It took me a couple weeks to kind of train my eyes, and that was with the original Rift. But once I did, I couldn't go back to the monitor. At first, like you said, it was really bad. But it's almost like you get used to it and understand its limitations. And now I've got like the Reverb G2. I can read everything. I think it's great. I just can't go back to a monitor.
That's what everybody kept saying though, is like I can read everything, and then like I got 20/20 vision, and like I would put it on, and like sometimes I'm just like, man, I can't even read the gauges. And then like the same person I would ask, like, hey, I thought you said you could read everything, and he's like, yeah, I can read the gauge, just put it in the green. Like I can't read the numbers, just put it in the green area. And you're like, well, that's kind of different from what you were telling me earlier. But sorry, go ahead, Rob.
Oh no, I was just laughing, but no, for me it's I don't have 20/20 vision. I have glasses, and so I've even thought about my experience in general has been it's been good for a while, but then I put it on and it's not necessarily comfortable, and then I have glasses that get all if they're not adjusted correctly, and then honestly it's like, okay, do I have to go and find 52 different settings that I got to tweak and modify.
That was my other, not to cut you off, but that was my other discussion or thought that was like, I always felt like I was troubleshooting. So like every time I would launch DCS, I felt like it was like a process. Like I had to spend like 20 minutes like adjusting things, and I was like, man, this is just like not making me want to play DCS. I don't know, maybe I was going about it wrong. But.
Well, that's kind of one of my experiences I've had with I mix between both VR and the flat screen. I've found that you really just have to keep tweaking the settings and managing your expectations and figuring out. But eventually, you do, and Bowser, you may be able to agree with me. Eventually, you do find this one sweet spot setting that is just perfect, and you leave it alone, and it's great.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
You have to get to a point where it's good enough, and you just stop. Until they come out with the next big thing, like this OpenXR they just come out with, and then you're back to tweaking. And there is a lot of tweaking, but he's right. You just get to a point where you stop and say it's good enough and just enjoy it.
Yeah, and maybe that was my issue. I guess I was always trying to strive for the best settings because people were saying it was so clear and like there's no like jittery, like no stuttering basically, and I was like, man, like I'm getting all of this, and I've been adjusting my settings like crazy. I have a 3080 Ti. Well, at the time I had a 2080 Ti, and I guess I just wasn't really sold on it yet.
I think the game is managing expectations because it's not great and it's not amazing and it's not going to be amazing. I think VR is just too immature for that right now, but you can get it to a point where it's pretty stellar sometimes.
Well, that and the fact that DCS was never made with VR in mind. Games that were made with VR in mind can be incredible.
That's a good point.
No, that's a great point. But the other thing you got to keep in mind is I was also trying to, stream and video record for content, and so I was switching between settings all the time. So going between, like my track IR settings and then my VR settings. And so it was just a constant, like, it was like a process, like I was saying, and it was just kind of a hassle. I could see maybe if I wasn't doing all that, maybe I would dedicate more time because it is very immersive. And like IL-2, it was great. It was amazing in IL-2. I don't know if you guys have any experience with IL-2, but
yeah, I do.
It was super smooth. And it looked amazing. I was like, man, this is awesome in IL-2.
Well, I think they made IL-2 with VR in mind when they brought it out. I think that helped. It's still a resource hog, but not nearly as much as DCS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say the other thing that sort of pulls me away from it is the investment that I made in some here's a WinWing button box, and so anytime I've invested money in that, then because you can't use it realistically unless someone knows a trick about knowing where all the buttons are, because for me it's like once you put that on, you're kind of losing sight of everything else, and so some of these other button boxes that you may have aren't going to be very easy to use.
So I have seen some tricks that people have done with that. I saw one guy on Reddit. He posted he has his little pit set up, and he had a 10-key keypad in front of him for a upfront controller, and he put little Velcro squares on some of the keypads or on one of the keys, and kind of as a tactile feedback deal.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And again, I guess it comes down to, trying to get all the perfect right settings.
Sure.
And then the other piece is honestly, just like I had my kids come in a few minutes ago when I talked about shooting people on the ground, and distracting me. So I honestly don't like to have something covering my face where I can't see it when they may come in. So, not that they're bad, but it's a distraction for me. So
I get that too. When there's nobody else in the house, I have trouble because I'm always like lifting up my headset, looking behind me.
Yep.
But as long as there's people home, I can just kind of relax and know that, if someone needs me, they're going to get, holler at me first.
Yeah, but I didn't want to come off negative like I down VR at all. It just doesn't work for me at the moment.
No, it's not for everybody. But
and I completely see how for those of you guys that are content creators, it could be a terrible thing because I don't watch VR videos that's made by or on YouTube.
I can't either.
Yeah, you don't want to see somebody who's just wearing a headset on like that. You honestly need to see their face or expressions and things like that.
Right. Now, I did solve the button box problem. I just made my own for like landing gear, tail hook, things like that. Bought a cheap USB controller and kind of made my own. It works really well, but like you said, you have to learn where everything's at.
Make your own. Now that is that is a solution. We don't hear too many people saying I made my own, but yeah, you're right. I think though, I think for me, I've become if the VR becomes much better, then I can totally see it. But I've also thought about having two setups, right? So I don't have a sim rig, but I've got everything sort of attached on a Monster Tech rig or stand. And then I've said, okay, well, maybe I'll just get a chair, like a Monster Tech chair where you can put everything on it, and maybe that'll be the VR one. So anyways, been pondering that.
There's a lot of good resources on online, especially on Reddit, that I've found where people build their own setups, and some of them are glorious.
Yeah, I got a 32-inch widescreen, and I freaking love it for DCS. I'm in love with it. I've had it for like 6 months now, and I upgraded from a 27-inch. I never had a widescreen before, but this 32-inch, like you really feel like you're in the cockpit as much as you could. Like it's not VR, but it's I think it's great.
But you said you use Track IR?
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be really well with those bigger screens.
Yeah, it does really well. Like the only issue I ever have is sometimes like if I light candles or if I have,
you want to set the mood.
If I set the mood when I'm playing DCS,
What, you don't?
Put on the I got to put on the jazz and we're about to go virtually kill people. Get in the mood.
Casmo's coming.
Where's the fortunate sun switch?
Casmo's about to be in the bag. I better put on my scented
robe.
candle, my robe. No, I love my place to smell good, so I always got candles going. But like if during Christmas time, like I get the Christmas tree up, like sometimes it puts out reflections. So like I got to remember, I had my Christmas tree on a timer. So this was kind of funny. Like I was streaming, and I had my Christmas tree on a timer, like to come on like at 5 p.m. And it came on, and then my Track IR I was streaming, and it just went freaking bananas, and like it was going all over the place. And I was like merged with somebody, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like this is the worst time that this could happen." And I'm like trying to like get on my phone because it was it's on my Wi-Fi that I can turn off the Christmas tree, and I'm like trying to do that while I'm merged. It was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, Track IR does not like extra light sources.
Yeah, first world problems.
I had a triple monitor setup and Track IR, so I know what you mean. Like, if you couldn't have VR, that was the next best thing.
Did you do like racing?
No, I've always just been a flight sim guy.
Okay.
Well, who's it?
Because I know a lot of racing people have 3 monitor setups.
Was it Moltar has a 55-inch OLED, LG OLED?
Oh, he's got like 7.
Wow.
He's got like 7 screens.
Yeah, he's the when I want to know who's leading the way. And
I got
dollars
2.
spent.
That 2's enough for me. I can't even imagine 7. I wouldn't even know where to look.
I had the Samsung 49-inch G9, and that surprisingly enough, it just it wouldn't connect correctly. And so every time my orientation just got jacked. And so I just moved away from it.
Well, ex-podcast member Jabbers had it as well. Well, he has it. He loves it.
Yeah.
He has the same one.
I would call it user error. So I'm sure I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, I thought that was too big, though. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it in person, but I feel like 32 is big enough for me.
Kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I hit that proverbial. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to comment that if anybody is starting with Track IR, to me, Jabber's tutorial on getting set up with Track IR is the best. So just shout out for that.
Yeah. I hit that proverbial fork in the road where I said, do I want to sink money into the monitor setup and Track IR, or do I want to just pull the trigger and go VR? And I said, yeah, let's try the VR. So...
See, a buddy of mine had this Alienware, I think it's a 36-inch wide curved monitor, and I'm like, why would I ever need that? And I ended up buying it anyway. So now I have this fantastic monitor, but I'm using VR, so it really doesn't matter.
Well, there's always something else. That's one thing that Jabbers told me a long time ago, is that you think it ends, but it never does.
Oh, it
and
never does.
I don't know how much money I spent because he pointed me to something. And if my wife knew, it would be trouble.
Yep. I mean, yeah, Jabbers and Kebab are... I don't know if you know Kebab. He's a streamer too, but he's a bad influence because he's always got to have like the next best thing, and then he like sends you pictures and videos. Like he always texts me videos, and I'm like, God, man, quit sending me stuff because then I want to buy it. He's a bad influence.
I think his whole hobby is a bad influence.
There is always something new and something coming. And even we were on the we're talking with Wags the other day, and I thought it was rather he kind of nailed it with the golden age of peripherals. And I ordered in preparation for the Apache coming out. I did get a Virpil Collective, so I haven't set it up yet, but that thing is fantastic. So. Man, you can
coming from what? What did you used to have?
Nothing, or just a throttle. So,
well, I mean, like what throttle did you have?
Oh, I have the Windwing F18, and I also have a Virpil MK3.
Okay. Yeah, I got the Thrustmaster, HOTAS, and
yeah,
I've had it for 3 years, and I freaking love it. But other people have upgraded to the Virpil, and they're like sending me stuff, and I'm like, man, like I want to upgrade, but this thing works out great for me right now. Like,
yeah, I think the thing I think about is that if you stick with one thing, then you get to know where all the buttons are. So, and this is, I was thinking about, and this is one of the things I see with you, Tricker, is that you'll go from one plane to the next, and you're still proficient. And I wonder, and I wasn't, if you have one HOTAS that you're used to, and you've mapped it, like you may. Do you map like where chaff flares are across the? It's the same buttons on all the planes.
I try to. It's difficult. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not proficient in everything, but I have like almost every module. And usually, like if I haven't flown in a few months, I have to go to the adjust control screen and hit all the buttons to be like, all right, where's this, where's that, and it all comes back. It's got to build the muscle memory. But I try to bind certain things, the same way. But it doesn't always work out that way. Like the F-16, my zoom on the F-16 is actually it's actually on a slider, but on the F-18, it's actually on a button. Like where the target management switch is, I use that up and down to, zoom in slow and zoom out slow. But then on the F-16, the TMS button actually, you need that button, or you need that, four-way switch for TMS. Yeah, so it's just,
it depends.
It just depends. But
now,
I try my hardest.
Are you going to get the F-16 throttle?
Oh man, like I said, I love this. I love this Thrustmaster right now, but man, that it does look really nice.
Well, and that's what I was sitting there looking. Either I was talking about hey, maybe I'm going to get this Monster Tech chair, and then I'm going to get the Collective to attach to it. And then I need a throttle because I want to, if this is going to be the VR setup, and then which throttle do I want? And to me, it's sort of like, man, that F-16 throttle is pretty fantastic. But The Virpil throttle has all the buttons in the universe, and and it's just like, boy, is it better to get something like that where you can map multiple buttons, or get one specific for the aircraft? So I don't know.
Yeah. How about you guys, Nomad and Bowser? Do you guys have any issues with your muscle memory, or do you guys just try to stick to the Apache and F-14 and F-18?
I haven't had any crazy issues with muscle memory. Said earlier, I've got this X56, and I'm kind of like you, Tricker, where I try to map everything as close to itself as possible, just to make it easier on me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Goat's right. If you use the same HOTAS every time, you kind of do learn where the buttons are. It makes it easier to remember after you remap a new airplane. But I've got the Thrustmaster, same as you, but I put a Virpil base on the stick, and it does everything I need. So
what does the Virpil base do for you that the regular Warthog HOTAS doesn't?
It has the cams. It's a much smoother experience, and it's kind of like how the Hornet works. The stick force increases as you deflect farther.
Okay.
Unlike the regular Warthog, it was just that spring, which was great. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. I've had it for 6 or 7 years, but this thing.
So you would definitely recommend that?
Yeah, I'd go with the Virpil base, the CM50, or not the Warbird, because I have an extension. The extension makes all the difference.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
I've heard
I
that.
need to take a look at it.
I don't know if you guys ever check out the Nubifier YouTube channel, but he has he has cost me money too, because he's got a lot of he reviews a lot of the Monster Tech gear, as well as the Virpil stuff. Now I think he plays Star Citizen mostly, but I really enjoy his podcast.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, I'm not familiar either. I'm not really familiar with the Monster Tech chair either.
Oh yeah, no, we'll put a link in the show notes. But right now it's got 3-month back order. But essentially the cool thing about it is it actually has a right in the middle between your legs.
Its own bathroom.
Indeed, that's right. It's got a built-in piddle pack. Exactly, it's a piddle pack for you, and there's no need to get up and go anywhere. You're there.
That's why I want it.
That's right. And just change it out once a week. No, but it's got a. You can essentially put a stick, attach a stick on the chair in the front, so it's between your legs.
Okay.
And that you can run with that. So, but no, I mean, so it's Monster Tech sells a lot of gear that can attach to different types of chairs. So I think there's an IKEA chair, and so you can always get these attachments. So if you want to put your throttle or your stick, or put your extension for your mouse or something, or keyboard. So so for that one though, I think it's to me it seemed, hey, that seems pretty great. Because then you could, if I'm just going to have a throttle stick and everything else, it seems great for VR. But yeah, we'll put a link in the show notes so that people can go take a look at it. The Nubifier, as well as some of the Monster Tech gear.
Yeah, I have trouble finding those setups that have the stick in the center. Back when I did mine, I ended up just, DIYing a solution. But it'd be great to have something like that with the center mount. That's what's missing.
Do you guys have mounts?
I do not.
Yeah, I'm more of a desk. Like I have a desk that I have everything up. See, I have an L-shaped desk, so it's kind of difficult right now to set up everything. So eventually, I'm going to be getting a regular desk, and then probably going to get mounts.
So I'm in the same boat as you there, and where that kind of helps me is the civil flight sims, and I know this is out of the scope of this podcast, but with
how dare you bring up civilian flight sim
with the Airbus, the side stick, that's how that goes.
That trash.
That trash, yeah.
Yeah.
How dare you bring up a French airplane?
I'll just see myself out. Thank you.
I'm just joking.
I know.
I'm used to that's what I fly, so
Okay.
Hey, I'm used to the side stick.
Yeah, I didn't get into that, and so isn't that why we're all in this? Is to do the things that we didn't get to do.
Yeah, I call that affectionately the wannabe, and yeah, and I for me, as I even though I've talked about the my driver for having the setup that I have has been kids. Honestly, I had to mount it to something, and so I've gone I've had the Fox mount, and then the kids figured out how to knock that off, and that was when they were about 4. So now that they're 7, I've already migrated over to having this stand-up rig situation, so they can't knock it off. But it's playtime, man. Anytime they come in my office, and it's like throwing the switches and stuff. But there's certainly, I think Bauer, you're mentioning that there's certainly a lot of great DIY solutions that people have done that are fantastic that I've seen on Reddit as well.
That's do it yourself. For those that don't know.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, a buddy of
I was
mine told
wondering.
me he bought a CNC table, and I said, well, if you've got a CNC table, I got a project for you. So that's how we did it.
That's awesome. Having somebody in your back pocket like that when you're doing the DIY stuff makes all the difference.
I know there's a guy that usually hangs out on my stream. His name is Roundabout, and he has he has VR as well, the Reverb 2, but he has his own 3D printed. He 3D prints all of his his controls basically, and supposedly he has his own little home cockpit. He's been wanting me to come over. He lives 30 minutes away from me, so I haven't gone over there yet. But I thought that was pretty interesting. Just 3D print everything.
Well, there's some good 3D printers out there for $200. You get that and put it on your desktop, and you can make everything you need.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of 3D printing. It is nice.
I did see a video, kind of circling back on the Apache stuff, where someone was, I guess, printing out custom TDAC controller, and I was like,
I saw that.
I did see that. It was on the Twitter. At least I saw that.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime I see someone get in there and they're wiring it themselves and all this, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm very impressed, but I also sit there and wonder, is Wing going to come out with a brand new, TDAC controller specifically for each aircraft, or a throttle for each aircraft, or stick? It's interesting.
I'm sure there's a massive push to get a TDAC out on the market right now.
I bet.
So, how do you guys feel about the lack of force feedback sticks? That's the thing that's been irking me for a long time.
I agree. I totally agree. Man, I just wish there was some force feedback sticks, because I have a Fanatic CSL drive racing wheel and base, and just driving that thing around, it feels like you're on the road. And it feels like you're battling the wheel, and I just would love that, when I'm flying on DCS.
It makes all the difference in a driving game. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, to understand correctly, it's a licensing or patent issue which is preventing manufacturers from developing these?
That's what I've always heard, but there is a company that makes one. It'll accept the Warthog stick, but it's $1,200.
Jeez. It's pretty expensive.
Let's see if we can get Moltar to get that. Do it for us.
Jeez, $1,200 for some force feedback. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then again, I think, well, I've got these, TPR rudder pedals I spent $650 on. $1,200 really isn't that far out of the realm of possibility.
It never ends.
Exactly.
When you start getting farther and farther down the niche communities, then it starts getting more and more expensive.
You can rationalize anything. Yeah, I mean, but I think to your point though, it's if the goal is to get, and it's the same thing. If you're in the high end audio, people want to get. They spend as much money as they do. And sometimes they'll spend as much as they spend on a house on speakers to get the live music experience. Now, I'm not that guy, but again, where you put the money in to try to replicate the experience.
Sure.
I mean, I love sound, so I always have I got really expensive headphones, and
No, what's
I got a nice-
expensive? What's expensive for you?
well, I spent about $700 on these headphones.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
call
pretty,
that expensive.
that's pretty
Yeah.
pricey.
Well, I think
Um,
having known these, because I worked with this magazine at one point that was for high-end audio.
Oh,
And,
Playgirl?
Yes, that's right. That's right. I didn't want to mention that. I didn't want to bring them into. Yeah, I choose not to. It's
Great articles.
yeah,
Good.
that's true. Exactly. That's right. So, but I found, because we always had all these Hi-Fi Man and all this other stuff around, that I found my threshold was $300. Over $300, I couldn't tell the difference. But but it's people can spend a bunch of money. Now, the other thing I always found fascinating is that the people that were doing the reviews were old men, and their hearing was gone, but they were doing reviews, so they can't hear as much, but they were still giving reviews. So, but yeah, I mean, I think you can spend as much money today, and I think tomorrow as. Now, one good thing that's changed recently is I saw the price of graphics cards are coming down.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Hopefully housing prices come down.
One thing at a time, sir.
I think they're tied together in the market. One's a leading
Graphics cards and
in housing market prices. That's right.
yeah. No, that's good. I think I saw that Best Buy had a bunch in stock, which never happens. I thought I read something about that.
Yeah. So what do you guys have in your rigs? And did you build it yourselves?
I did build mine myself. I built it over COVID. Got a wild hair and said, "Hey, I want to build a computer." A buddy gave me his old 1070, which was good at the time. It was a pretty good upgrade from the little integrated graphics card I bought. Integrated CPU and graphics card I bought. But I just the other day upgraded to a 3060, and that was a pretty decent little upgrade. I think may not have actually been an upgrade, but I saw a difference.
Yeah, I've always built my own since I first started flight simming. But yeah, last year I did this upgrade, and the worst time to buy a graphics card, I bought a 3090.
Oh,
And it's a little overkill, but I mean, I figured it would be future-proof. But I paid scalper prices for it. Now I'm kicking
no.
myself.
Someone told me a long time ago, you buy it when you buy it, and you don't look back when it comes to the technology. And I think
Yep.
that's probably pretty true.
Well, I had the money, so I figured either I get it now or I don't get it.
Yeah,
You might as well enjoy it.
sure.
indeed. Yeah.
I mean, I got the 3080 Ti, and I bought it from, I had my computer built. Usually I build my own computers, but it was so difficult to find any graphics cards. So I was like, I'm just going to pay the premium, just to get the graphics card, because my old computer was getting slow. The processor was getting pretty slow. So I was like, it's time to upgrade. And I'm glad I did, because I'd probably be kicking myself right now, I still got this computer. But it's good to hear that, graphics cards are coming down and more of them are out there.
Yeah, just a note. And so for some of you folks who follow Ward Carroll or Mooch, he's going to be moving into DCS and doing some DCS videos. And so he's also, Tricker's going to be working with him on that. Now, he recently got his computer, which I built for him. And I did give him a 1080 Ti. So I'm just glad that, and I don't think that's going to be problematic, but it's certainly not any kind of room to grow on that one. So I think the fact that card prices are coming down a bit will make that an easier transition when it's time.
Sure.
That's a good card. I used one of those for years.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had that 1070, and I wasn't doing terribly.
I think for Mooch, this will be a great start, and then as he's moving forward in doing these things. But at the end of the day, I think as Tricker's working with him to get spun up, I think it's there may be some other things that he needs to get.
Sure.
So
That'll be a fantastic graphics card.
Yeah.
Everything you need to get started, baby.
that's right. Go Mooch, go.
Yes, sir. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the progress. So do you
like-
know if he's going to be posting it on his YouTube?
Yep. And
Yes.
so thanks to our good friend Matt Wagner and the folks over at Eagle Dynamics for providing some licenses for Mooch, and then the good folks at Thrustmaster are helping out to set him up as well. So good stuff.
Hopefully we see him on the multiplayer servers. That'd be fun.
No, he's ready to go. He's also talking with, I don't know if you guys know are familiar with Kevin Miller, who wrote the Raven 1 series. So he's like he and Hoser, Kevin Miller, are talking about doing some things together. So so he's trying to pull him into that as well. So I think it'll be interesting to see once Mooch gets going, how this turns out.
Yeah, and I'll venture to say, I think we're in not just the golden age of peripherals, but I think we're in a really good place for these content creators too. We've got a lot of good quality stuff out there. I know, Tricker, you do things like that, but there's a lot of good quality, not just tutorial stuff online on YouTube, but things just to watch with people playing DCS and putting warheads on foreheads. It's fun.
There's a ton of great content creators out there. That's what inspires me to make my content, just other people doing their stuff.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see Mooch get into it as well.
Yeah, I am too.
So Tricker, how do you besides streaming events? How do you pick what you content you create? Where do you get your topics, your content list? Is it
Difficult question. No, I mean, like, people usually comment on my channel, like, hey, like, do some of this, do some of that, stop doing this. I mean, I get all sorts of stuff. People will message me, like, hey, like, you should probably do something like this. Or I just have my own thoughts. I mean, sometimes I'll just be, flying, in real life, and then I'll be like, thinking of something to do, like, hey, like, this might be a good topic, or...
I wish Casmo was here. Yeah. You'll think, I wish Casmo was here, and then you'll...
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly... No, man, I just... well, people, like, if I'm streaming, people come in and be like, hey, like, I really like this, or, there's not enough explanation on this.
Yeah.
So usually... I usually try to pick stuff that other people don't do.
Now, do you ever get some troublemakers? And people that are not very nice. Do you have to ban people or do anything?
I've only banned one person on Twitch ever, besides like bots. But yeah, I get people that, obviously you get the haters.
Yeah.
But I mean, they make you better. I mean, I'm all about, like, I love to give constructive criticism, and I love constructive criticism back. Like, as long as it's going to help me in the long run. Or, like, I like to help people. So, I mean,
cool.
As long as something's constructive, then it helps me out to do better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes people just, people are just trolls too, so.
Sure.
You got to deal with that as well. I mean, I can be a troll too sometimes, so.
I'm just holding the back.
I love to have fun too, so.
Yeah. Well, and so let me ask you guys. So, if you were, what would a good starter PC setup be for someone who just wants to? I know this is always in the, it's always on Hoggit. I'm like, what should I get? But if you were to set up a PC today, what would you guys say for a starter for someone that would work
for DCS specifically?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's so many things. Yeah, there's so many things that go into that. Are they wanting to do VR? Are they not wanting to do VR? But I'd say, like Nomad, at least a 3060, at least a i5, 16 gigs of RAM,
I'd go with a Dell Intel Pentium. No, I'm just
Penny.
486.
I mean, yeah, it just depends. That's a huge topic. I mean, we could spend like an hour just talking about that.
Well, yeah, and maybe we can defer that to a hardware episode. I know we've touched on a lot of different pieces here in the peripherals and things like that, but I think it'd be great to jump into and even have some folks from peripheral makers come on board and talk about some of the stuff they've worked on, or what's the process for them developing it. That'd be kind of cool.
No, I totally agree. I just think it's a very in-depth conversation, because I mean, you can have people that love flight sims, like civilian flight sims like Nomad, and he probably knows he's going to love DCS, so maybe he'll want a better computer in the long run. And then you might have somebody that just watches a stream or a YouTube video and is like, I might dabble in it, but I don't need like the best system out there. So
I was just thinking, and maybe that's a way we can frame it later, is saying what's a good DCS Rev 1. If you want to get started, this is the min. And maybe, I mean, I know that they list it, like what the specs are on the Eagle Dynamics website. But if you want to get started, you probably need to have this minimum things. And so I know it's a bigger question.
No, it's a good topic, though.
I would say to anybody that wants to do that, though, even if you're not real technical, try to build your own. I mean, it's such a fun project, and it's really not that hard these days. You can really save a lot of money. So,
well, along with that, that helps you learn a lot about how the computers work, and you can take steps when building your own to future-proof it, quote unquote, where I don't have to replace this part for a long, long time, but I can replace this and this.
yeah, you can control where your money goes. If you want a better video card, or maybe you don't have enough money to put the huge amount of RAM in it, well, make sure you buy something you can add to.
So let's put it this way. What would be the number one thing that you think people should spend the most money on? Like for the PC, as in a PC part specifically, what would be the number one thing?
Definitely graphics card.
That's what I would agree with.
Yeah. I saw a big jump when I moved from the Ryzen 3 to the Ryzen 5 processor, the newer ones. Of course, that's kind of a sore subject in DCS with the multi-threading. But I saw that was probably the biggest jump I've seen is when I did that.
It can be a very positive point. I mean, there's a lot of growth opportunity in multi-threading.
I'll say it's a sore subject. So
I think people. Yeah, I mean, and again, I think it goes back to when we talk about software and where it's where you start and where you go, and not building something for VR to doing it. It's just software is hard, and I know there are a lot of folks that are like, oh, why don't they do this and this and this? But having come as someone in the software industry, it's just never as easy as people think it is.
Well, and I'll offer a counterpoint to your DCS only build. Do not just build a computer for one game or one purpose. Build it with what you think you're going to be getting into in mind. If you limit yourself in one aspect, and you'll end up kicking yourself down the road if you don't.
Yeah, I remember a few years back when I was starting to look at DCS, and I was like, oh man, there's no way I'm going to spend that much money for a PC. and I remember I had one PC, and I tried to load DCS, and I'm like, oh my gosh, So then I got into building the PC, and that I'll never forget. And not that I don't think people shouldn't do it, but there's nothing quite like a puff of hearing a zit and a puff and smelling a little smoke.
Oh no.
Well, definitely watch some videos and get educated before you tackle it. But
yeah, I completely agree. Encourage folks to go do it. It's a great project, and as soon as my kids are old enough, I want them to do that. But yeah, I completely agree. And there are some mistakes that you can definitely call your own.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say, if you saw the smoke and you heard the zap, you were probably going 88 miles an hour. And you probably just went back in time. Yeah, Rob.
There's if you can smell it and you heard a little poof. Yeah. No. And it's called the. I put the damn. Doggone.
Yeah, how dare you?
Yeah, I know.
How dare you?
Language.
Family show.
I was a little late on that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good though. I appreciate that. No.
Yeah, I was trying.
Yeah, I think I had actually put some of the stuff you put the gel, or not the gel, but the CPU and the
thermal
heat.
paste.
Thermal paste. Thank you.
Yeah, thermal paste. There we go.
I think I got some of that on the motherboard.
We're good at words.
Yeah, we are. It's a magical Sunday.
Follow the Air Combat Sim for good word usage.
I've learned all my words here.
Yeah, liberal use of that is not a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, less is more.
Well, I kind of want to. We should probably discuss this at the beginning. But where does the Nomad call sign come from?
That come from my first unit in the Army. Actually, we were the Nomads.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were a caveman or
No.
you got like a beard and.
He's living under a rock.
He goes. It is just me.
I move every 10 days, start a new family.
Oh, jeez. And then I was going to ask Bowser, were you a big, Mario fan?
No. Mine's a bit of a story. I come from a family of truck drivers.
Oh, okay.
And when I was a kid, my dad called me Dragon. Well, whenever I turned 18, started driving truck, there was already a dragon that worked at the same place, so they called me Lizard. They said I was just a baby dragon. And then I joined this squadron I belonged to, and they gave me the call sign Bowser because I'm the Lizard King. So that's kind of the short story.
Interesting. Was Bowser a lizard?
Not really.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm trying to picture what he was now.
Like Mario Bowser? I think he was a turtle.
I thought he was like an angry turtle with spikes.
A turtle, alligator, something or other. I'm not sure.
It's funny.
Oh, that's cool though.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the Nomad one though.
Yeah, it's very near and dear to my heart.
This is Nomad11 requesting shower.
Nomad's coming.
Request denied.
Well, we had I got a funny story about that. I'll keep it family friendly, but my
go ahead.
one of our leaders, he come up with this this thing that we're supposed to shout when they calls the company to attention. And we were a drone unit, and he says, "Attention!" We're supposed to say, "Nomads, we like to watch."
Oh my god! I like it. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up our community episode. If you guys have anything else to add?
No, thank you so much for having me.
No, it was an honor. It was fun. I had a good time. This was my first time doing one of these community podcasts. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having us on. It was definitely a learning experience, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And as we mentioned before, we'll be back in, I think, 3 weeks with a new episode, and I think BMS that was recorded the other day but can't come out quite yet. So we'll have our next episode about BMS. So
extra editing.
We get to talk about a basket.
Yeah, we do. All about the basket. But no, it was a lot of fun though. So appreciate it, Nomad, Bowser, and Mr. Goat. Thank you for joining for the Air Combat Sim Community Podcast number 3.
Thanks for listening to Air Combat Sim. Don't forget to subscribe or tell a friend about it. You have a question, idea for an episode, or a special guest you'd like us to invite? Feel free to reach out on Facebook, Discord, or via email. Air Combat Sim was brought to you by DVR Productions.